All right, today we're going to dive into something really different, something deeply moving. We're exploring a story from a very unusual perspective, one that comes from a place of silence, but also profound purpose. This is Thus Spoke the Cadaver. And the story kicks off with this plea. It's a voice asking for something in death that they just never got in life. A little bit of care, a gentle touch. It's a moment of quiet vulnerability that, honestly, it just stays with you. So, who is this voice? Well, this voice, it's coming from a body on a dissection table. It's the story of an anonymous person who, after a really tough life, finds this incredible new purpose after they've passed on. This is their story, from their point of view.
And the reality of the situation is, it's pretty stark. This wasn't some grand gesture of altruism, it was pure necessity. Poverty meant that a normal burial or cremation was completely out of the question, which is what led this person to an anatomy lab, where they would become the very first patient for a whole new generation of doctors.
Now, what's really striking about this is the profound and bitter irony of it all. Think about it. In life, something as basic as a refrigerator for a cold drink was a total fantasy. But in death, their body is carefully preserved in a perfectly chilled environment. It's a contrast that says so much about a life of want and an afterlife of, well, clinical care.
And how does our narrator see all this? You'd think there'd be bitterness, right? But no, it's this dark, almost wondrous sense of irony. For them, this sterile lab, well, it's a step up. It's a promotion, as they say, from the hell they lived through. Okay, so now we're stepping into the dissection hall itself. And this is where our narrator becomes a silent observer, a quiet witness to the lives of all the students who are there to learn from them.
And there's this really clear sense of consent here, almost encouragement. The message is basically, go ahead, do what you need to do, learn from me, be precise, and don't be afraid you're not going to get in trouble. In fact, I'm happy to be here to serve this purpose for you, the bright minds of the future.
But, even in the middle of all this serious scientific work, life is still happening all around. Our narrator is observing these students not just as aspiring doctors, but as young people, chatting about their day, about food, movies, their families. They become this silent audience to the ordinary, beautiful stuff of life. And there's even a little bit of humor and empathy here. The narrator seems to genuinely enjoy this new existence, and they can totally relate to the student's experience. I mean, who hasn't felt that pressure of being grilled by a professor? It's this incredible moment of connection that just crosses that line between life and death.
But the story doesn't stop there. When the dissection period is over, that's actually just the start of a whole new transformation, a much more permanent one.
So here's how it works, and it's this very methodical, almost respectful process. First, after the dissection, the soft tissues are respectfully buried. Then, later on, the bones are brought back up, they're cleaned, and they're carefully pieced back together. And this final articulated skeleton, it becomes the star of the show, the crown glory of the Anatomy Museum, a permanent tool for learning, a lasting legacy.
And this is where you see this huge, incredible shift. The very same person who was completely overlooked in life is now the center of attention, looked at with so much enthusiasm and focus. Students see more than just bones. They see a roadmap of the human body, the key that unlocks their whole future.
And this role as a teacher becomes this constant, almost intimate part of the students' lives. It's not just the full skeleton in the museum. It's the loose bones they carry around in their bags to study. The narrator is right there with them, in their rooms, on their desks, and yeah, sometimes even on their beds. A silent mentor, always present.
So, this really gets us to the heart of the matter. What we're talking about is this unique, almost sacred pact, right? A relationship where one person's life ends so that countless others can be healed and saved. And the lessons learned from this one body, they don't just disappear after the anatomy exam. They echo through a doctor's entire career. It's like the narrator is promising, I'll be with you, not just for anatomy, but in forensic medicine and pathology and even years later in clinical teaching. The foundation they provide is permanent. They're a silent partner in the art of healing. This single sentence, it just says it all, doesn't it? In what other field is the relationship between life and death so direct, so absolutely fundamental to the whole process of learning and healing? It's incredible.
So, as we come to the end of this incredible journey, our narrator has one last piece of wisdom to share. Think of it as a parting message from the very first patient to their future colleagues.
And the request is so simple, but it's everything. Be sympathetic. Always remember there's a human being behind the disease.
Don't be driven by anxiety about money. That will come. And if you can follow that path of compassion, the narrator bets you will find a unique and profound kind of happiness in your work.
And that leaves us with this final, powerful question to think about. What does it really mean for the dead to teach the living? It makes you reflect on this ultimate gift, the legacy of knowledge left behind, the silent lessons in humanity, and this incredible, enduring pact between a donor and the countless lives they will touch through the hands of future doctors. A pact that truly transcends death itself.